The Secret Tongue. Decoding the Language of Animals. Chapter 1. The Babble of the Wild. On a moonless night, deep within the forests of Central Africa, a low rumble vibrates through the ground. It is too soft for human ears, but to a nearby elephant herd it is as clear as a bell. The matriarch, towering and weathered, pauses mid-step, her large ears fanning out. From miles away, another herd has sent a message, part greeting, part caution. She listens, processes, and replies, releasing a deep frequency rumble of her own that will travel farther than any human shout ever could. To us, the forest seems silent. To them, it is alive with conversation. This, the hidden symphony of animal communication, is what we have only just begun to understand. For centuries, the voices of animals were mostly background noise to human ears. Birdsong was beautiful but incidental. Whale calls were haunting but random. Few paused to wonder, what are they actually saying? The very idea that animals could possess complex languages, subtle signals, and layered meanings was once dismissed as naive romanticism. But the tide has turned. Today, scientists across the globe are decoding this secret tongue. With ultra-sensitive microphones, underwater hydrophones, high-speed cameras, and even algorithms once reserved for decoding human speech, they are eavesdropping on worlds previously invisible to us. What they are finding is astonishing. Animals are not merely calling out, they are conversing. The many voices of the wild communication, at its core, is about connection. It happens whenever a signal from one individual alters the behavior of another. This could be as simple as a dog wagging its tail, or as complex as a sperm whale clicking out a pattern of codas, distinct sequences of clicks that serve as clan signatures and social glue. Take prairie dogs, for example. These small, unassuming rodents were long thought to simply bark when danger appeared. But Kon Slobodchikov, a biologist who spent decades studying them, found something revelatory. Their alarm calls do more than shout danger. They specify what the danger is. A hawk? Their call is short and urgent. A human with a gun? More complex. A human without a gun? Different still. Even the color of a stranger's shirt can be encoded into these vocalizations. Slobodchikov called this descriptive language, and it forced the scientific community to reconsider the cognitive abilities of animals often dismissed as simple. Birds, too, have more to say than melodies alone reveal. In Australia, superb fairy wrens use secret password-like calls to identify their chicks and protect them from brood parasites. In the dawn chorus that wakes cities and countrysides alike, each trill, chirp, and song serves purposes ranging from territory defense to serenading potential mates. Even silence speaks volumes. In wolf packs, subtle body posture, a flick of the ear, a downward glance, can communicate submission or challenge without a sound. Failure to read these cues correctly can mean exile or death. From the depths, whale songs and dialects. Perhaps no animal has captured the human imagination as much as the whale. Enormous, graceful, and enigmatic singers of the sea. Humpback whales in particular produce songs that span hours and travel thousands of miles. These songs evolve. Each year, subtle changes are introduced and adopted across entire ocean basins. Scientists describe this cultural transmission as eerily similar to how human pop songs spread across radio waves. In a haunting twist, a solitary whale known as 52 Blue has sung for decades at a frequency no other whales appear to use. It is a song that no one apparently answers. To us, this may be a poetic tragedy, but to the whale, it may simply be its voice. Or perhaps it is something more. A lonely question cast into the void. Listening to whales forces us to ask, do animals create art, share stories, or even feel loneliness as we do? The answer remains tantalizingly out of reach. Color, chemistry, and touch. Beyond words, not all communication is audible. For many animals, signals are conveyed through color, movement, and even scent. Consider the cuttlefish, a master of shape-shifting language. Using chromatophores, pigment-filled cells, it can create rippling waves of color across its skin in milliseconds. In the blink of an eye, it can flash a warning to rivals or seduce a mate. Their displays can be stunningly complex, capable of sending different messages to different individuals on opposite sides of their bodies, essentially holding two conversations at once. In the insect world, pheromones serve as invisible messengers. Ants lay chemical trails that guide nestmates to food, while bees perform the famed waggle dance, which encodes distance and direction to rich nectar sources. Their language is, quite literally, written in motion and scent. Even touch plays a profound role. Grooming among primates is more than hygiene. It is a social glue that affirms bonds, establishes trust, and maintains peace. One soft brush of fur says more than 1,000 words ever could. What are they saying, and can we listen? As we map these hidden languages, one truth emerges. Communication in the animal kingdom is not primitive or random. It is purposeful, layered, and at times astonishingly sophisticated. Yet the ultimate question lingers. Are animals truly speaking a language? Or are we merely imposing human ideas onto their sounds and gestures? Linguists point out that human language is unique in its syntax and recursion, the ability to nest ideas within ideas. While some animals, like parrots and dolphins, show signs of complex vocal learning and even rudimentary syntax, most animal communication systems remain grounded in the here and now: danger, mating, food, social bonds. Still, as the famed philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein once mused, if a lion could speak, we could not understand him. This is not a statement about intelligence, but about worlds of meaning shaped by different lives. A lion's words, if it had them, would come from a place of hunger, pride, night vision, and territorial instinct. To truly understand would mean not just translating, but inhabiting that world. The forgotten instinct. As we learn to decipher the languages of animals, perhaps the most unsettling revelation is not about them, but about us. Modern humans have grown distant from the raw immediacy of nonverbal communication. In our cacophonous digital world, subtle cues are often drowned out. Eye contact fades into screen glare. Body language becomes pixelated in video calls. Silence, once a powerful communicator, now feels awkward and unbearable. But animals remind us of a truth we have almost forgotten. Language is not just about words. It is also about presence, about tone, gesture, scent, and rhythm. It is about being attuned enough to notice. To speak the secret tongue of animals is, in many ways, to reawaken a part of ourselves. A quieter, keener, more instinctual part. One that listens as the elephant listens, that sees as the cuttlefish sees, that feels as the wolf feels. This is not merely a scientific endeavor. It is a homecoming. And so, as we journey deeper into this book, one question will hum softly, just beneath the surface. What might happen to them and to us if we finally learn to listen? Chapter 2. Senses and Symphony. The modalities of animal communication. Before words, there was touch, there was scent, there was light and vibration. Even in the deepest seas and darkest forests, long before vocal cords evolved or songs filled the air, animals spoke in ways we are only beginning to fathom. Imagine for a moment a coral reef at dusk. The water shimmers faintly with the glow of bioluminescent fish, tiny pulses flashing like Morse code. Nearby, a cuttlefish ripples patterns across its skin, signaling its mood to potential mates and rivals. In the shadows, a moray eel emits faint electrical pulses as if whispering into the current. Above them, dolphins click and whistle in elaborate choruses, their voices threading through water faster than sound travels through air. To us, this reef might seem noisy, or perhaps eerily silent, but to its inhabitants, it is alive with layered conversations, each species tuning into its chosen channel. Sight, sound, smell, touch, electricity. Like guests at a grand masquerade ball, exchanging glances, gestures, and signals with practiced ease. This is communication at its most elemental and extraordinary. The visual vocabulary. For many animals, sight is the stage upon which their messages play out. From the vivid plumage of tropical birds to the delicate dances of bees, visual signals are among the most stunning forms of communication. Unlike sounds, which fade quickly, or scents, which disperse slowly, visual cues offer immediacy and precision. Consider the peacock. Its extravagant tail, fanned in iridescent splendor, is more than beauty. It is a declaration. To rival males, it says, "I am strong enough to carry this burden." To females, it promises robust genes and evolutionary vigor. Or the fireflies of summer, whose rhythmic flashes are coded invitations to mate. Each species has its own flash pattern, like a signature. In the darkened meadows, these luminous messages form a dance of light, where timing is everything. Mistime your flashes, and your message vanishes into oblivion. And then there are the cuttlefish and octopuses, masters of dynamic visual communication. Unlike the peacock, whose message is fixed, cephalopods broadcast in real time. Their skin, alive with chromatophores and iridophores, can shift from gentle waves of calm to rapid-fire warnings. A male octopus, when threatened, may darken dramatically, becoming a living threat display that says without words, "Back off, or else." Visual communication, however, is not universal. In dense forests or the deep sea, light fades quickly. In such worlds, nature turns to other senses. The language of sound auditory signals, from whispers to roars, carry across distance and darkness. In the African savanna, lions bellow at dusk to announce their presence, their roars rolling for miles. In the dense Amazon, howler monkeys unleash guttural cries that resonate through the green canopy. a sonic fence marking territorial lines. Birds compose dawn choruses and dolphins compose underwater symphonies. Sound is versatile. It can convey emotion, urgency, and even identity. Researchers studying dolphins discovered individuals possess signature whistles, unique vocal fingerprints they use much like human names. When one dolphin is separated from its group, it broadcasts its signature whistle, "I am here," and companions reply in kind. And yet not all sound is meant for others. Some is deeply private. Elephants, for example, produce infrasound, ultra-low frequencies inaudible to humans. These seismic rumbles travel through the earth itself, alerting distant herds to danger or summoning them across dozens of kilometers. The wild speaks in pitches high and low, near and far, and much of it we can barely hear. The chemistry of conversation and smell is the oldest and perhaps most intimate language of life. Long before vertebrates evolved vocal cords, single-celled organisms used chemicals to signal danger, mating readiness, or food availability. That primordial mode of communication still thrives, woven deeply into the daily lives of countless creatures. Insects particularly are chemical poets. Ants, for instance, paint invisible maps across the ground with pheromone trails. A single scout ant that finds food will return to the colony, leaving behind a scented breadcrumb trail that others dutifully follow. If the food disappears, the trail fades, a vanishing message of times past. Mammals too speak in scent. Wolves mark territory with urine, lions with scent glands, and deer with specialized forehead glands they rub against trees. These chemical signposts are not mere warnings. They carry identity, status, and sexual availability. Even human beings, though often oblivious, participate in this invisible dialogue. Studies suggest that we can unconsciously detect emotional states like fear through scent, ancient echoes of a language we once relied upon more keenly. The touch of meaning. In many species, touch is the purest form of connection. Before sight sharpens or voices emerge, newborn mammals rely on tactile communication. A mother's tongue cleans, comforts, and bonds. As they mature, many species continue to use touch to build relationships. Chimpanzees groom each other not only to remove parasites, but to express trust and reinforce alliances. In elephants, trunks are instruments of tactile eloquence. Mothers caress their calves, adults entwine trunks in greeting or reassurance, and dying members receive gentle touches from their companions, gestures that seem tenderly aware of loss. Social insects too exchange touch-based messages. Bees, within the darkness of the hive, use antenna taps and nudges to coordinate hive activities with military precision. Touch is immediate, unmediated, and deeply felt. It is a language of presence, of saying I am here with you. The electric whisperers. For a select few species, even electricity becomes a voice. In murky rivers where vision fails and sound is muffled, electric fish like knifefish and elephant nose fish produce weak electric fields. They sense distortions in these fields to navigate, hunt, and most remarkably, to communicate. Electric pulses vary in frequency and pattern. During courtship, males emit rapid bursts to attract females. During territorial disputes, rivals engage in electric duels, adjusting their signals to outmatch one another without ever needing to bite or ram. These pulses form an entirely alien channel of discourse, one humans can scarcely perceive, yet for these animals, it is as familiar as spoken words. Symphony or babble? As we pull back and observe these channels, visual, auditory, olfactory, tactile, electric, a profound truth emerges. Communication in the animal kingdom is not about one language. It is a symphony. Each species selects the instruments best suited to its environment and evolutionary history. Some sing, others dance, some glow, and others leave trails of scent. Many combine channels. A bird's courtship may blend song with color. A dog's greeting may mix tail wags with friendly barks. Humans too weave multiple senses into our own communication. We gesture, we modulate tone, we perfume ourselves, we touch. But over centuries, our reliance on verbal language has eclipsed these other channels. We have forgotten how much of our own species' dialogue was once unspoken. To truly listen to the animal world is not just to decode isolated signals. It is to learn to tune into a chorus of modalities, many of which we once understood, perhaps instinctively, long before grammar and syntax overtook our minds. What would it mean if we reawakened this sensitivity? Could it help us reconnect, not only with animals, but with each other? Chapter 3. First Words. The evolutionary origins of communication. Before there were songs, there were signals. Before there were words, there were warnings. Picture this: a tiny trilobite scuttling across the ocean floor 500 million years ago. Its senses tuned not to language as we know it, but to subtle vibrations in the water. If the current shifted suddenly or a shadow loomed, it fled. The message was simple: danger. The response was immediate: run. This is where communication began. not with poetry or names, but with life's raw imperative to survive. At its root, communication evolved as a solution to a universal problem: how to coordinate, compete, cooperate, and above all, stay alive. Across eons and ecosystems, the forms of this solution became staggeringly diverse. From the chemical exchanges of bacteria to the philosophical musings of humans, the story of communication is a story of life's ingenuity and relentless adaptation. But beneath that diversity, there is a shared truth. To live is to communicate. Life's first conversations, long before brains, mouths, or even eyes existed, bacteria were already speaking in chemical tongues. In a phenomenon known as quorum sensing, bacteria release molecules into their environment. As the population grows, these molecules accumulate. When they reach a critical threshold, they trigger a coordinated response, glowing in unison, releasing toxins, forming biofilms. In essence, the bacteria are counting each other and deciding together when to act. This, many scientists argue, was the dawn of communication, a way for individual organisms to share information and synchronize behavior. Though primitive, it set a precedent. Communication did not require consciousness or intention, only that signals could be sent, received, and acted upon. The rise of the senses, as life became more complex, so too did its ways of signaling. Multicellular organisms evolved specialized structures for sensing and responding to the world. Touch came early. Simple organisms could detect pressure and react defensively. Next came vision. At first, just light sensitivity, which gradually evolved into eyes capable of perceiving colors, shapes, and movements. As prey and predators co-evolved in an evolutionary arms race, the need to signal became ever more urgent. Coloration became a common mode of communication. Bright hues warned of toxicity, as in poison dart frogs, while elaborate patterns attracted mates, as in butterflies and birds. Still others, like chameleons, began using color as a mood ring, signaling aggression, submission, or readiness to mate. Meanwhile, sound entered the scene. Insects developed the ability to rub body parts together, stridulation, or vibrate membranes to create noise. Vertebrates soon followed with vocal cords and syrinxes, refining the art of acoustic communication. By the time the first mammals arrived, the building blocks of complex communication were well established. Sight, sound, touch, and smell had all become vital channels for life's growing chorus. The social explosion. But perhaps the greatest leap in communication came not with new senses, but with social living. As species began forming groups, herds, packs, colonies, the demand for nuanced, flexible communication soared. Wolves needed to coordinate hunts. Elephants needed to stay in touch across miles. Birds needed to warn each other of predators. Primates, living in intricate social hierarchies, needed to express everything from submission and alliance to affection and reconciliation. In these tight-knit societies, communication began to serve more than survival. It became a glue, holding groups together through grooming, vocalizations, gestures, and even rituals. This was communication as more than signal. It became social currency. It is no accident that some of the most intelligent species, dolphins, elephants, primates, are also among the most social. Their need to navigate complex relationships drove the evolution of more elaborate and flexible communication systems. In some cases, this crossed into astonishing realms. Certain primates use distinct vocalizations to refer to different predators: eagle, snake, leopard, while vervet monkeys even adapt their calls based on the social context. It is not yet language, but it is getting closer. From signals to symbols, at some point, in some lineage, signals gave way to symbols. The difference is profound. A signal is bound to the present moment. A bird's alarm call means danger, now. But a symbol can represent something abstract, removed from time or place. It can mean food, friendship, or even me. This shift likely began with animals capable of vocal learning: parrots, songbirds, dolphins, and humans. These species could not only make sounds but mimic and modify them. They could invent new sounds and assign them meaning. Parrots, for example, can learn human words and use them meaningfully, even creatively. The famous African gray parrot, Alex, not only identified colors and shapes, but coined his own word, bannery, for an apple, combining banana and cherry. This is not mere mimicry. It hints at symbolic thought, the essence of language. In humans, this capacity exploded. Whether driven by social complexity, ecological challenges, or cognitive leaps, we developed syntax, grammar, and storytelling. We began speaking not just about the immediate, but about the past, the future, the imagined. And yet, even as our words grew elaborate, we retained the ancient channels: tone, gesture, scent, and touch. Our verbal brilliance did not replace these, it layered upon them. In laughter, we echo the play signals of apes. In tears, we evoke distress calls as old as mammals themselves. In the softness of a caress, we still speak the primal language of touch. Echoes in the present, looking across the evolutionary tree. We now see communication as a mosaic, not a ladder. Electric fish whisper in pulses. Bees dance their directions. Wolves bow and wag. Whales compose songs that drift across oceans. Birds learn songs and dialects from parents and neighbors. And humans, chattering, texting, gesturing, blend signals and symbols with astonishing fluency. The evolutionary origins of communication remind us that language, in any form, is neither unique nor fixed. It is a continuum shaped by need and context, forever evolving. In this light, our modern conversations, even these very words, are part of a much older lineage. They are whispers carried forward from ancient seas, insect colonies, forests, and plains. We are not apart from the animal symphony. We are its most elaborate verse, but not its only one.